I could not give you a logical reason why I love this sequel so much. What's up, everybody? So let's talk about Predator 2. Okay, the other day I made a video about the first Predator, considering Predator Badlands is coming out really soon. And there's a nice, interesting resurgence of the Predator franchise under the stewardship of director Dan Trachtenberg. So in revisiting all of these movies, especially Predator 1 and 2 that I just saw so many times as a kid, I think there's a lot of nostalgia as to my affection for these movies. Maybe not so much Predator because I think it's still timeless and still holds weight even now, almost 30 years later, or 40 years, I should say. But Predator 2, I can see why some people don't like it. Even though I still really enjoyed it, I can kind of take myself out of it and not be so nitpicky as to what people don't like about it. First and foremost, it's directed by Stephen Hopkins, who did some, I think, some really interesting work in the 90s, even before that. You know, like his second movie was Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Then he does Predator. After that, we have Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez and Cuba Gooding Jr. You have Blown Away with Jeff Bridges and Tommy Lee Jones. And The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. So, not like classic 90s movies per se that, have withstood the test of time, but definitely movies that made its mark in the time that they were made. And there's still a lot that I really enjoyed about this one. It's kind of crazy to think because this movie came out in 1990, and the future that this movie takes place in is 1997. And so at the time it's like, oh my God, this is what the world is going to look like in 7 years or whatever. And now thinking back on it, it's almost 30 years ago. And yeah, it's funny to think that that was the future for us. And it takes place in the war zone of Los Angeles. And I I think the one thing that at the time and still, I think about it is like, why couldn't they get Arnold Schwarzenegger to be in this? Like I love Danny Glover, he's an incredible actor. I just don't necessarily think of him as an action star. So but then you hear the stories of like they offered Arnold Predator 2 while they were making the first Predator. And when he turned it down, somebody asked him, why are you turning it down? It's big money. And he's like, it's not time yet. And if you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, there's not a whole lot of sequels that he's done. I think the only franchise he has, well, he did the Conan movies and then the Terminator franchise. And with the exception of the Conan movies, there's a lot of time in between the sequels. And so I guess his tune changed, as he was revving up his career. But yeah, I still kind of thought it was an interesting premise in the sense of like, okay, the predator creature was in the jungle, now he's in the city, the concrete jungle. And I think for the most part it works because, even though the cloaking device I think works better in the jungle and in the city, it just kind of looks weird, but it does enough of a job for him not to be noticed so much. But there's a lot of some of the moments where he pops up that still really kind of resonate and still kind of builds the suspense and the terror. I think of especially the scene where he is basically going to kill the Jamaican gangster King Willie. And it's a really interesting moment because, he drops, it's in an alley. He drops from the building into like this puddle of water, and then the water shoots up. And then he's still in the cloaking device. And then you see the footsteps in the water and how the water pops up with the music in the background. And it really works. It's like, oh my God, it's really going to happen. These two are really going to go at it. And then there is no fight. You just see the predator, you know, from one editing cut is walking away with the head of King Willie. So the premise still worked for me. It's like, how are these city guys going to figure out what's going on? I know I understood the rules a little bit better that the Predator has, in the sense of like, if you are not armed, then he's not gonna kill you. Which, having revisited the Predator movies, like for some reason that moment always kind of got lost on me, but it was made a lot more clear in the sequel, and it was like, oh, okay, all the things kind of just started coming together for me. I love Bill Paxton in this movie. He's just awesome Bill Paxton version. The city, the kind of like the city slicker, kind of cocky cop. His nickname is the Lone Ranger that gets transferred to the police station where Danny Glover is in charge. And it's nice to kind of see him trying to ingratiate himself with the crew. And then I think he has a pretty heroic scene in the subway, which things happen to him. You can kind of guess what it is. But now the part that really never resonated with me was seeing Danny Glover go head to head with the Predator instead of trying to outthink him. That always kind of bothered me because the final fight is in the spaceship of the Predator, and they're literally fighting it out toe to toe, and it just like, okay, I take it for what it is, but it's just never sat right with me. I mean, not even Arnold Schwarzenegger with his imposing, physical figure wasn't enough. So it's hard for me to believe that Danny Glover could, as much as I love Danny Glover. But, aside from that, that is a bit of a nitpick. Everything else I think is really, really cool. I like the scene where the Predator is very, very much injured. He's got his arm cut off and he's got other injuries, and he's like, taking out his kit and kind of healing himself at different moments. I always thought that was cool. And then, of course, you have, the nice little skeleton of the alien creature, which I thought was really handled well because it was just like a flash thing. Nowadays, if that moment was taken, they would have like really lingered on the skull of it as an Easter egg and an impossible continuation of the story in future movies. But at this moment, it was just a flash, and people just kind of like, wait a minute, you kind of sat up and noticed it. But yeah, aside from that, I think it was all good. Shout out to Robert Davi, who plays the chief of the police station, and him and Danny Glover have some amazing interactions, which I think are definitely worth noting. And just their scenes alone are really fun to revisit. Anyways, what about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.